So we just recaught the female three-toed sloth up here in the highlands. She was about 15 feet up in a spiny tree that I free climbed, but I got a little cut up catching her. So hopefully it won't get infected or anything. But she's right up here on top of the hill, so let's go check out her logger and see what she looks like. Now these mountain sloths have a much bigger body size. They're much more massive and they have much thicker fur and much longer hair. And that's most likely due to the colder weather up here. It drops down to the 40s at nighttime and the sloths get pretty cold. So they probably have adapted to living here by having a much bigger body size, almost like a woolly mammoth or something. Oh, these are really ripe. They're falling from right up here. So these are the chocolates of the rainforest. Not really chocolates, but it's actually more like a fig Newton. These are fig fruits. And all of the mammals and birds and bats love these fruiting figs. And these ones are really ripe. Now, they've got a really strong odor that you can smell from miles away. And animals will actually come running literally through the canopy to each fruiting fig tree because they only have fruit for a few days at a time. So these are really getting ripe. Now they have what's called a masting event too. When it's reached the pinnacle of its fruiting, all of the fruits fall off all at once. And then you can come to here any time of day or night and they'll be just totally packed full of animals. Monkeys, toucans, bats, kinkajous, everything will just be feasting on these chocolates. They're really good. Seconds after letting the first sloth go, Tom spotted another one. So now we're going to go try and catch him. It's up in a cecropia tree. So hopefully it doesn't break on me. Try to get him to turn around. Now this is a two-toed sloth, but if you look at his back feet here, you count how many toes he has. There's 1, 2, 3 toes. But this is a two-toed sloth. In English we call them two-toed and three-toed sloths. But in Spanish they say dedos, which is fingers. And if you look at his fingers here, he has 2 fingers. And so the actual way that these are called are two-fingered and three-fingered sloths. But I think in English it just sounds better to say two-toed and three-toed. So we say toes instead of fingers. So he's not very happy. He looks healthy, a little angry, but the hat's intact. His radio collar looks good. .6 kilograms, so that's like almost 14 pounds. That's a huge sloth. Usually they're about half of this size. Wow, she's massive. As you can see, her logger looks good. The film canister again, right there. Her radio collar is intact. Temperature sensor looks good, so I think we should have some great data from the sloth. She's pretty calm. She looks happy. Hey, remember me? I think so. All right. You can see one of the reasons I like working with three-toed sloths is that they're just so calm and nice and gentle. She's not sedated or anything. We didn't give her any medicine and she's just letting us work with her right here. She's very calm and gentle. Now, I'm really excited to work on this sloth because this is up in the highlands. We're in the middle of a coffee plantation. And we talked to all the local people and they said, oh no, there's no sloths around here. It's too high, it's too cold. We're at about 5,000 feet elevation. So it gets down to the 40s at nighttime. And sloths are only thought to live in the lowlands, but we've been working here for about a month now, and have found them up in the highlands. And so it's really cool that we can compare the sleep in these high altitude animals with low altitude animals. And there's a couple interesting features about the high altitude sloths that I want to point out. That their hair is really long hair and really thick, and it probably has something to do with being cold. So they have grown this really thick fur. And they're also very clean. Generally the sloths that you find are really green and they've got bugs in them and they're real dirty looking. But she just looks like she's been to the vet or something, or she's been to...
Animal beautician.
All of the high altitude sloths we found look like they've just been to a beautician or something. I mean, their hair is just so clean and perfect looking. Usually they're all mangy and dirty with bugs, but these sloths are just totally clean. Anything else I can check this out? So there's a bird in Panama called the greater putu, and it's best described as sounding like a monster. So you hear it at nighttime, and it's a really deep, really loud roar, something like... And the first time you hear it, if you're hiking in the forest at nighttime alone, you look around and you're like, holy shit, that was a monster. And then you reassure yourself, okay, there are no monsters in Panama. There are no monsters in Panama. And then it goes again. and then you really quickly run out of the forest and are scared. But then you go back later and you read about it and you hear it's actually just the greater putu. It's a funny little bird, looks like a stick. But it definitely scares everyone the first time they hear it. So we've been hiking quite a bit and haven't seen any sloths, and I'm not terribly surprised. They're really, really hard to see. I think when we're hiking, we might see about 2 to 5% of the sloths that are actually there. So if you're staring at a tree and there's a sloth right there, you've got a 2 to 5% chance you'll see it. But it could also be that some of the Indians who live in this area have been eating them. I know the Ngumi Bumo people and the Kuniyala people definitely eat three-toed sloths. They make a stew out of them. So it could be we're not seeing so many sloths because they've been hungry.